All right, everybody. Welcome back to another live here at Jill's office. My name is Nicole, and I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing at Jill's office. And I've been here for about 9 years now. And I'm really excited to have another guest on our show. I'm going to do a little intro really quick. We have Jeff Marinelli. He is a serial entrepreneur, which I absolutely love. He has multiple success stories in the service industry. So he's like one of us. Jeff started his first home improvement company about 10 years ago, and he built it from $0 in revenue up to over 1.5 million in just 3 short years. And that is so impressive. I'm excited to learn more about how you did that. And I'm sure other people are going to want to pick your brain. But Jeff here has a ton of experience in the service industry throughout both success and failure. And he's used his extensive knowledge base to help other service-based businesses and trades in the trades industries to maximize their business efficiency and productivity. So at ClearPay Financial, today, Jeff focuses on helping other like-minded business owners to implement the proper tools and software to help owner-operators become more independent in their businesses. So welcome, Jeff. We're so excited to have you. I'm excited to learn more about ClearPay Financial and everything that entails, but also a little bit of your story if you want to go over your background. We talked a little bit about your service-based business that you started 10 years ago. I want to know how that started and how it went, how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, of course. No, well, first off, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here and hopefully talk something that'll be helpful to somebody would be good.
Yeah.
So I got started about a decade ago in the service industry. I've always loved just working with my hands, to be honest with you. Like to see the kind of the benefit of my labor.
Mm-hmm.
So just had a heart for the service industry. I've always loved it. Got into it kind of shotgun approach, just anything I could get my hands on, anything we could do. And what kind of took me from mediocre success to building a business was being able to focus on a few things. And so by the end of it, we were really a big bathroom, kitchen, structural remodeling company that would come in and restructure homes, take out structural walls, put in beams, build these nice, massive kitchens with big islands and all that kind of stuff. So we're able to find our niche and built a really high value client base out of it. And yeah, that was that business, but always had a heart to be my own boss and business owner, and probably learned the most amount of lessons I've ever learned about business through that business, through both succeeding and failing multiple times until you learn more from failing, to be honest with you.
I think the most valuable lessons you'll ever learn are through the failures. They're the most painful. So, what they say, when something strikes an emotion in you, it's really hard to forget. And pain is one of those big driving factors. Like when you go through the pain of struggling in your own business and losing sleep at night, trying to make bills, arguments with family members. There's so many things in the background that nobody sees, right? Because you don't post about all that stuff and people don't see it.
Exactly.
Yeah, the biggest lessons I ever learned were from my first business. Tons of failures, like painful ones. So
yes,
so much knowledge.
As soon as you think you're through one of them,
another one hits you, and it kind of gets worse if you don't seek help. So
exactly.
Watching things like this from people who have been through really hard situations and learning from it, I mean, will save you time if you're a business owner. So I'm curious how, just to get to know you a little bit more, how did you get into, so it's construction, remodeling, and everything you said you did. Do you have a background in that, or how did you get into it in the first place?
Yeah, I had a couple different jobs. I worked for an exterior services company. So I actually sold windows and doors and siding and gutters and roofs and stuff like that. So I think that taught me a lot of there was some intensive training and stuff that went along with that. So I learned a lot of product knowledge and kind of the theory behind why you do certain things and why you put certain products places.
Yeah.
So I did everything from that all the way up to work for a foundation company and a finish carpenter for a while. So kind of getting a lot of different aspects of construction just in general. But I was always the kid that if there's a repair person that came over to the house, I'd just sit there and watch them. So I learned from seeing other people do it and just kind of became handy around the house, even as a kid, fixing stuff at my parents' house and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that kind of led me into what punch list items can I do when I'm starting this company? Who can I talk to that would send me some easy work, quote unquote, as I'm still learning what I'm doing, learning my craft.
Yeah. So really built from the ground up. That's
Oh,
amazing.
absolutely. Yeah.
That's
Yep.
really cool. So now you are the co-owner and co-founder
Yes, ma'am.
of ClearPay Financial. We
Yes.
want to learn a little bit more about what that company does, when you started, and everything like that. So give us a little breakdown of ClearPay Financial.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I get asked this a lot because it's like complete opposite from actually doing construction. Is now I'm doing a financial technologies company, which is completely different. But the kind of the long and short of it is my business partner and I, we've actually been best friends since we were about 6 years old, which is crazy to think. And my background was, of course, in the service industry, as I explained. His is also in the service industry. We wanted something where we could still focus on the service industry and help the service industry, especially with us being younger and most of the people in the service industry being older.
Right.
Our kind of knowledge with technology and implementation through software platforms and whatnot, excuse me, we felt had some value to share, and we could help streamline people's businesses and help kind of fill the gaps where it might be missing some efficiencies or processes. So anyways, we wanted to get into this opportunity kind of presented itself. And kind of like home improvement, when we started, we weren't really sure where we wanted to focus or how, we could best be of value to people. And we've, over especially the last 18 months, we've really found our hyper focused on our niche of the service industry and being able to come in and partner with service-based businesses who maybe they're a month old or maybe they're 30 years old, being able to come in and give them tools that they need, the things like Jill's office, for example, where it's a tool that they're missing that can help their business run more efficiently. So our business, ClearPay Financial, completely focuses on payment processing through credit card and ACH transactions. But our value add is that we don't just take the approach of how can we save you money on processing. It's what tools and contacts and relationships do we have in our tool bag that we can use to help your business grow, and make introductions to, and maybe implement software, and kind of so on and so forth. So taking a much more consultative approach when we're talking to people on how we can be of value to them.
Yeah, I love that. And I love to just dive into understanding what that means for business owners more, because I think as a business owner, I would see some business owners, payment processing isn't the thing that's always on their mind. There's a lot of other things like, I need to get more leads. I need to close more jobs. I need to increase my ticket. I need to hire more people and not have them quit on me and get them to actually perform. So there's a lot there that people think about, and payment processing isn't something that owners might really think hard about. And so I want to take some time to really dive into some really cool questions that business owners should think about when they're making these kinds of decisions, and how, a system like yours can actually benefit them. So let's dive into some questions really quick. So the first one that we have here is, what would you say are some common financial challenges or mistakes that you see business owners run into?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think the biggest thing that we see, especially in the service industry, and some of these questions might end up running into each other just because it's so common, but the cash flow, I think, is a huge deal, especially if you're a new service-based business. You don't have $100,000-$200,000 sitting in the bank, to help when you have a project that gets held up, or maybe permits, you're waiting on something and just goes way longer than you're expecting. So I think that's the most common financial challenge that we see, is just a cash flow issue. One of the values we're able to provide is our funding times. So when people pay for your services as a business owner through our platforms that we're partnered with, or through our platform alone, our funding times are next day. So you can take payments up to 7 p.m. during a business day, and you'll get your money the next day. And that's huge for a business owner. They don't want to take a $20,000-$30,000 payment and then wait 2 weeks for it to hit the bank account. And that's, I think, part of the, in the service-based business or service-based industry, we hear a lot, well, I get paid through checks. I get paid through checks most of the time. Banks put holds on checks all the time. And that was actually an issue I faced as a business owner, was, especially as I was starting out, you get a a large check, depending on the size of your business, $10, $20, $30,000. And
Yeah.
the bank decides to put a 10-day hold on it, and you have subs to pay, materials to pay for, all that kind of stuff. So through our platforms and integrations, being able to get your money next day is a huge deal. And I think that's probably the most common challenge people run into, is just managing that cash flow.
Man, I would say as a business owner, like just that one question alone is all I need to know. So we're done.
Sounds good. Yep. It's nice.
Getting your money the next day is like, oh my gosh, that would just, take so much weight off of your shoulders, because if you're waiting, like you said, 10 days or even longer, you now have to think really hard about how to plan those next 10 days. What do I need to do to make sure that everything flows smoothly, and keep those relationships strong with those subs? Like you said, you don't want to delay paying them, and so that's a huge benefit. So I think people will absolutely love that.
Yeah, been there, done that. They start out telling people, "Hey, let me pay you next week," because
that's one of those painful things that you learned from in previous life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't do it again.
All of it.
The next question we had, let's see, what are some effective strategies for handling seasonal swings in business?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's one of my favorite topics to talk about when I'm doing consultation work for service-based businesses. The number one most effective tool for that is referral partners. But hands down, 10 out of 10 times. You can have, especially in the service-based business, let's say you're a gutter company, you're getting gutter jobs periodically. Maybe it's through yard signs or marketing or whatever it may be. But once you get that job and you finish that job, you got to go out and find the next job. Mm-hmm. And that's where those seasonal dips and everything come in, is you're relying on people to respond to your marketing or see your signs or your flyers or whatever it may be. And so referral partners is a huge deal, humongous deal when it comes to the service-based business. Having kind of viewing not necessarily your competition, but your similar service-based industries as people who can come alongside you and help versus competition. Yeah. Using that same example, let's say you own a gutter company, you find an exterior services company that does, pressure washing and window cleaning and stuff like that. Or gutter cleaning too. They look at the same thing that you're looking at all day long. Right. And they're seeing gutters that are falling down, or maybe the gutters just keep overflowing and they need gutter guards or something like that. But if you find partners who you can come alongside and say, hey, let us add gutters as a service to your business and just refer us, we'll teach you how to measure them up. You can sell the jobs yourself. We'll give you contractor pricing. You make a couple bucks every foot. And you can be a referral partner for us. That's the most effective way to avoid seasonal swings, for sure, is having people who will consistently send you business. Yeah. And then the residential work that responds to your marketing or word of mouth is just icing on top of the cake, really.
Yeah. I love that you said that, because I think a lot of in the home service industry, we're always trying to brainstorm ways to make sure that we're staying busy and staying afloat during slower months. And there is the opportunity to leverage referrals from your clients, like you said, in the residential space. But for instance, I have a residential cleaning company, and we have a partner with a carpet cleaner. We have a partner with a junk removal company, and then also window cleaning and pressure washing company. And we send referrals between all of us all the time, which is really important. And we help each other out. And, we put each other on each other's websites, and we leave flyers with all of us on it to try to do as much as we can. And you can share the workload with your partners too. So you want to find really good ones, for one. I think that's important. And it was important when we looked for these companies to partner with, to make sure they had a legit website that looked very professional, that they had really good reviews, and that they were really responsive, because we just sent out messages like, hey, do you want to talk about a partnership? You want to see how quick they are to reply, and how professional they are when they speak, and how kind, because that is important. If you're referring them, they are almost a reflection of your own company now. So 100%, it's like referring employees, right? You want to refer good people that will show up good and everything. So
it is. I think it's important to know who you're working with. And I think also if you have a referral partner who's on a project and they see something that you could do, they're going to refer you versus just finding some random person on Google to give to their client. They don't want to not give their client a recommendation. So having somebody that they trust in their back pocket and somebody who you can portray, hey, this is the type of business we are. We answer the phone when people call. We show up on time like we say we're going to do. And you can get across the value that your company brings to that referral partner. It goes a long way.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Our next question here is, how does offering multiple payment options to customers, how does it benefit the business owners?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So that's taking a different approach, and just thinking of the actual business owner themselves. It's always beneficial to offer your customers multiple ways to pay. People don't feel like they're boxed into paying one way or the other. I'm sure most service businesses always take check. They always take cash. There's no problem with that. But with our platforms, we offer two methods of payment, and that's credit card and debit card, of course, and then ACH, which is electronic check, essentially. So just like you would pay your electric bill when you sign in, you put your account and routing number in and hit pay. It's the same thing. You're paying with a check, essentially. But the benefit to the business owner, the main benefit that we see really in the service industry is our platforms offer what we call dual pricing. So when you send that invoice over to the customer and they hit that pay now button to go ahead and pay your invoice, they have the option, as you have the option as a business owner, to show two different prices. Hey, if you pay with a credit card, here's your invoice total plus a convenience fee to cover the credit card fees. And here's a no fee option through ACH, which is just essentially a direct draft from their bank account, right? And business owners love that because they don't feel like there's anything wrong with passing fees on to the customers because they're giving them a no fee option. They're not boxing their customers into one option and one option only. Our systems are set up correctly. We deal with underwriting and set up your account legally, the right way to be able to do that. Because there's a lot of cloudiness around doing that, but we do it the right way to make sure everybody's PCI compliant and whatnot. But that's a huge benefit to the business owners. If you're running $100,000 a month, which is, most of our clients are somewhere around there, you're saving 2, 3, 4% on credit cards every month. That's it's a couple $1,000 every month that you can save by offering ACH as a no fee option. It's a fantastic win for our business owners. A lot of times I'll even say this, a lot of times our business owners save so much money doing it that way that it actually pays for whichever software that we've got them hooked up with, whether it's an FSM or just an invoicing software. So hugely beneficial to business owners to be able to offer more than one way for customers to pay.
Yeah. You know what you just said about, just the savings alone is able to cover the cost of the software that they're on. I mean, that reminds me of us here at Jill's office, because a lot of times our clients are coming to us because they're missing so many calls. And depending on how much just one call could cost you, because, you're doing a $12,000 job,
Exactly.
you miss that one call and you lose that job. I mean, just one phone call can pay for your entire month at Jill's office because you just stopped missing phone calls. And I mean,
fantastic way of looking at it.
It is, because you're losing so much money if you aren't answering the phones every single time. Even if you are answering them and you're not giving really great customer service. I mean, there's a lot of more to answering phones and providing customer service than some business owners understand. But an interesting thing too, really quick, is I have in my residential cleaning company, I have my VA making calls regularly to other house cleaning companies in the area and outside of our area. And we track everything in regards to how many companies actually answer the phones, how on the first try, second try. We try 3 times throughout like a couple weeks. No one has ever called us back. We take notes about how they communicated on their phone and how their customer service was. And I can tell you we've almost got up to 100 companies so far. And I think I saw maybe 3 that actually answered on the first call. And maybe 2 out of those 3 were actually good on the phone and 1 was extremely rude. So, the reality of the service industry, I mean, you can ask people all the time, have you ever had something done at your home? You might have had a good experience and you stick with that one company, you refer the heck out of them. But then there are other projects you've done where you're like, I can't get anyone to call me back. No one will answer. And so I think, we're trying to help the service industry kind of pivot, provide better customer service, a better customer experience. And in turn, like you said, one call can completely just pay your entire bill for the month. And then you
Yeah.
start to see even more jobs. And so I love that.
Absolutely. And it almost go, I mean, this kind of ties back into the cash flow thing we were talking about earlier. If you have having those options to be able to take payment right then and there, and what a lot of our platforms run on your cell phone or your iPad as well. So
Mhm.
being able to be on site with the customer, do a walkthrough, hey, job's done, everything looks great, customer signs off on it. Is that going to be, check or ACH or credit card? How would you like to pay? And being able to take that payment right then and there and then get your money the next day, it just speeds up the whole process of,
Right.
okay, I'm done the job, I got paid, I can move on to the next job, and I have my money to be able
Yeah.
to pay pay for the materials and the subs and everything like that. But having those options so that the customer can have the freedom to pick to how they want to pay right then and there is a huge deal.
Yeah. And then excuse me, looking at it from the consumer side as well, like thinking about customer experience when you think of your payment processing system might not be at the forefront of our minds. When I pay for anything, I love to see options. Sometimes I'm a little disappointed when I see that. I'm like, you don't have Apple Pay? Like, what kind of
Right.
company are you? Like, I just want to pay with what's most convenient for me. Like, I can pay you with my watch now if you had the option. So when I'm really limited, it kind of, gives me a perception that this business doesn't have all the options that I might need.
Mhm.
And just a little bit of that seed of doubt planted at any point in the customer journey. It's important to just keep building trust. And when you're going through the payment processing, that is a huge thing. I'm actually giving you my money now that I've worked so hard to earn. It better be a smooth process that I feel safe doing.
Absolutely.
We should think about that as business owners all the time.
And talking about safety too, I mean, it goes a long way, especially in the service industry. The contractors, unfortunately, there's some bad apples out there that give contractors in general just a bad name. And
Mhm.
being able to have something that's efficient, whether it be a card reader where somebody can, like you said, Apple Pay or tap to pay or insert their card, or it's going into your system on your iPad, something like that, that's set up and convenient for the customer
Right.
versus, hey, let me have your card. I'm going to go and write it down on my notepad and then I'll run it when I get back to the office. Or I'll call the office and have them run it. And I'm going to be telling somebody over there
Mhm.
what your card number is and everything like that. So
Right.
having our systems and platforms implemented to where it just adds a level of security, number one,
Right.
but also that sense of security to the client to know that it's being taken care of the right way. And it's not, we're not mistreating card numbers.
Yeah. I've definitely done that before at my house where I have to give my card over and they wrote it down on a piece of paper. And I immediately think,
Nerve wracking.
oh my gosh, have I done the wrong thing? It's too late. Like the
Yep.
install's done. What can I do?
Right.
So
Yeah. You just monitor your bank account for a few months and make
yeah.
sure they
Yeah.
don't go on a shopping spree.
Right. Okay. Let's see. Where are we at? So our next question here is, what role does automation play in simplifying administrative tasks for businesses, and where should they start? So this might be a little bit outside of like what your company does, but I'm sure you're really familiar with automations, and with having a company like yours now, I'm sure on the tech side how important it is to have automations built in to kind of, help you with your business. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, automation is a huge thing, especially nowadays as technology is growing and growing, and it's kind of finding its way into every role that a business can have. So automation's a big deal. This kind of goes back to the value add that we try to bring our clients. As a payment processor, I feel like a lot of times when I talk to a new client, one of the first questions they ask are, well, what are your rates? Right? Because that's what they've been trained to ask.
Right.
They ask everybody that. Maybe they've been door knocked by a bunch of people, and all they want to know is who's the cheapest. And truthfully, I mean, when I talk to new clients, I say, listen, saving you money and getting your rates to where you need to be is the easiest part of my job. That's usually the last thing I talk about. How can I actually help your business? What value can I provide that's not just a money savings? Because I'm going to save you money. I'm not worried about that. That's the easiest part of what we do.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the software platforms that we've integrated with and we've partnered with have a lot of really good automations that just add value to your business simply because they automate the easy, simple, nonchalant tasks throughout the day to give you as a business owner more time on your hands to be able to talk to clients or answer phone calls like you guys said, or run quotes or check on projects or whatever it may be. So a lot of the platforms we use have a ton of automation. not only just for, maybe it's customer communication saying when you're on the way with your client or to your client's house, or automation where it asks the customer for a review at the end of the project. Things like that are all automated in a lot of our systems. But even something as simple as once you send somebody an invoice, if they don't pay it within a day or two, it'll send out automatic reminders and stuff like that is hugely beneficial as a business owner, especially in the service industry. You're running around like a chicken with your head cut off about
or
8
or if
days of a
your
week.
if your card is expired.
Yeah,
I know that
absolutely.
we run into issues a lot like that. I think that there's so many options for using rechargeable cards nowadays, and a lot of clients do use them, and so they don't have the funds inside of that card. And so not having automations, it's there's so many right now. I know one time when our automations went down, just to remind customers that their cleaning was coming up, we had so many people reaching out that they weren't prepared, even though they'd been with us for years. They weren't prepared for their cleaners to come that day, even though it's the same day every single month, because they
Right.
didn't get the reminder. And we've trained them that we send these reminders. But it does take the task out, because imagine if I had my office staff calling every single client a day before they're clean, following up when someone's card declined. There's just, you could utilize your staff for so many other things. And the automations they save so much time.
They do. Absolutely. And it takes a lot of it really, I love how your first question you asked was, what's the biggest financial struggle? Because it really all goes back to that. You don't have to chase money down if you have automations where, it's the system's following up for you. They're making sure those invoices get paid and keeps your cash flow, on track. So very important.
Yeah, for sure. I'm curious too, in your experience, just in your home service industry from previous, in construction and everything like that, how do you feel in general that customer services with phone calls and answering phones and getting back to people in a timely manner? I mean, have you seen things change over the years, or is it still pretty much typically hard to get a hold of somebody consistently?
Sure. Yeah, that's a big one. It's huge. And something I love that Jill's office does, because I know that when I started my home improvement company, I had a lot of people that said, okay, well, there's 50 home improvement companies in the 10-mile radius. How are you going to be any different? How are you going to stand out? How are you going to be successful? And every single person that asked me that, I gave them two answers. I said, I'm going to answer the phone when people call, and I'm going to show up when I say I'm going to show up.
Yeah.
And that is such a lost concept for business owners for whatever reason, especially in the service industry, is they're showing up. Even if they're showing up 30, 45 an hour late.
Yeah.
I would make a crazy effort to get there 5 minutes early. And you would be surprised and just blown away the number of times I'd show up to a customer's house on time and they're like, surprised.
I
What
wasn't
are you
ready.
doing here already? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I said I'd be here at 3, and it's 2:55. So those two things, answering the phone or having an answering service and somebody who can always answer the phone for you and your business is you'll be ahead of 60% of the competition just by doing that.
Yeah.
And then, the second piece to that is you can't just answer the phone and set the appointment or the estimate. You actually have to go and run the estimate and do what you said you were going to do and be on time and be courteous. And if you're not going to be on time, things happen. But communication, I think it all wraps around communication. Call your customer, let them know, hey, I'm right down the road, 10 minutes away. I apologize. I had, a 911 I was dealing with on another project. I'm headed your way right now. I'll see you soon. I hope that still works for you. And if not, reschedule and make an effort to be there early next time or something. But communication, answering the phone, being on time, seriously, you'll be ahead of 80% of the competition just by doing those 2 or 3 things.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, I think as an owner, when you sit down and you look at your overall customer experience, customer journey, what do you want it to look like at every single touch point with your company? We don't always think about those things. Like the very first time they visit your website, what's the experience like? Are they going to click a button that calls? Is someone going to answer? What are they going to sound like? And when they say yes, like what you're doing, how is that whole process going to work? Are they going to pay a deposit? Will they get an invoice? Will they get a receipt? Will it be smooth and professional? And then one thing that I think you didn't mention was after the work is done, what's the follow-up process afterwards? Are you even checking in to see how they did, ask for the review, and ask for the referral? And those are things that a lot of our clients at Jill's utilize us for, because it's hard as a business owner to think to do all those steps. Setting up the automations is great too, but to get a live person talk to you is next level, like you said. But the service industry, very specifically, is in very intimate spaces of our clients. We're going inside of their homes a lot of times. So trust to me is the number one thing you want to build. And if you don't answer the phone and you're not on time, like you said, like, I don't trust you already. I'm going to go with someone else. Whoever makes me feel the best, makes me feel the most, I trust you the most, I will pay more to get someone in that I can trust than someone that gives me, I might not get a hold of you later, but you're a lot cheaper. And I think that's the kind of customers you want to attract. They value you so much more. They'll pay more if you'll deliver.
Yeah.
So
and that's what I was talking about earlier, how when we started to find our niche of clients we were working with and the type of jobs we were getting, you hit the nail on the head with that. It was just finding those high value customers. I can't tell you how many times I've had clients come to me and say, hey, you were X amount of dollars more expensive than the other guy, but when you guys came out, your process and your knowledge and your procedures and how you run everything, you answered the phone, you showed up on time, you had samples, you had an idea of what I wanted to do. You were able to give me solid recommendations on whether, even if, my idea as a customer wasn't great, you were able to rephrase it and show me how it might work best in my home to do the remodel, and then give me information why, and just being the professional in the home and the most knowledgeable in the home about what you're doing is a big deal. And it goes a long way. Like you said, people do spend more. We were not the cheapest guy on the block, and that was never our goal, was to be the cheapest guy around. But we wanted to be the best and the most comprehensive people that you could hire. And that's kind of where we landed.
Yeah. In any home service business that's come into my home to do anything, I loved the companies I hired the companies that were the most educational. So if I'm looking at getting my windows replaced, I want to hear you talk about it, because I don't want to be sold to in a way that's like trying to convince me. I want to know what this material is made out of and how it helps my family and how it helps my power bill, while feeling like you care. I've done, blind replacements, getting all the blinds replaced and asking questions. And they're just the person that's the most willing to take time and explain what the material is. But they can feel me out too. If I'm done, I don't want to talk about the material as much. Tell me about the benefits, the education piece, I think, is huge. People love edutainment, right? They like to be
right.
Things.
It's like a good word. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, like you're a smart person. Let me share with you what I know so that you can feel like a more informed homeowner. And I've learned so many things just being in homes for the last 10 years or however long it's been. Because when you buy a house for the first time, you don't know anything. You probably knew tons of stuff because construction. I didn't know anything. So over the years, I was
fortunate to know what I was doing.
Yeah, no, I wish I could go to school just to learn a little bit of things about handyman work. Do they have classes like that? Because I want to fix some things, but I don't want to replace my whole roof, if that makes sense. But sometimes you just envy people that know how to put up drywall and do framing. Man, that sounds like a really good skill. But yeah, no, it just goes, it's so good to have that, caring about the aspect of thinking about the customer's journey and their perspective when you come in their home. And like you said, home service businesses are not very good at answering their phones, being on time. They forget the customer side. They think that they start to think that you just need them. They forget what the customers need. As a consumer, you have the internet. We can find anybody to help us. We're not limited just to, a phone book anymore. So we can literally find tons of companies, and there's a lot of people who do things on the side. Are we going to be driven to find someone who's not licensed because I can't get someone to reply to me who is licensed? And so, being the person that answers the phones, is on time, and is just has a good customer experience, you're going to win so much more than if you don't do those things. So I
Absolutely. And
appreciate that.
you can be the best company out there as far as workmanship and craftsmanship and whatnot. But it really boils down to communication. If you don't answer the phone when you got customers that call that maybe they have issues or they want to do another project. I mean, if you do really good work, you should get a whole lot of word of mouth referrals. But if you're not answering the phone and just doing the easy things, the
Yeah.
simple things of communication, then it takes away a lot of the credibility that you
Yeah.
built.
And you've got people with like previous trauma from working with other contractors to do things.
Oh man.
If they got burned
Yes.
before and you don't answer even one time and don't reply, I mean, they just feel, again, I'm getting scammed. Something's going to happen. And you've already started the whole relationship off on the wrong foot. And so, yeah.
Absolutely.
And
I
when you're
probably
dealing with
50% of the
thousands,
customers I walked into probably had a horror story
yeah,
of, or the project was started by somebody else and then they just, again,
abandoned.
communication. They didn't call, they didn't show up, they
Mm.
didn't, they
Yeah.
ended up firing them because they're
Yeah.
just terrible at letting them know what's going on
Yeah.
in their own house, like you said.
Yeah, and we're in the social media age. We've been in it for a while. If you're in any of these like city pages, you see companies blasted all the time. And so
Absolutely.
you have to protect your company and its reputation because it could just take one thing like this company never returns my calls. Do not use them. All it takes is that one person wanting
That
to
one
say that,
person.
yeah, on social media. So it's like, you know, making sure you're finding ways to, you don't have to be the one to do all the things. You just need to figure
Right.
out the processes so that those things don't get dropped. But yeah, when we're talking about payment processing, again, it's just this topic that we don't talk about every day. But hello, this is how you get your money, right? Like
Absolutely.
you need a way to take money in, and to get it the next day is insane. I mean, like you said, that's like number one
It's a
thing. I
big
need my
deal.
money fast.
Exactly. Yeah, you definitely have to have your money as a business owner, and even more so, I would say even more so starting out. But I mean, I've worked with and done some consulting work for business owners who have, 5, 10 years behind them, and they're still dealing with cash flow problems.
Yeah.
People not paying, and a lot of it goes back to the systems and automations and standard operating procedures and whatnot that aren't in place that need to be able to help your
Mhm.
business run smoother. But yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being on this show. I think I've used up a ton of your time. So much good information about ClearPay Financial. So here is your website up here. If anybody wants to visit, this is the website to go,
Absolutely.
clearpayfinancial.com. And then Jeff, is there anything else you want to share, or is there any other way you want people to reach out if they have questions?
No, our website is the best way. We have our information. You can send us a message, contact us, phone number there as well to get in touch with our support staff. But we'd love to help anybody that has questions, even about just kind of a consultative phone call on what do I do, what's the next step with my business, how do I maximize efficiency
Yeah.
and whatnot. And it sounds funny to kind of put that hand in hand with payment processing, but like you said, the finances and the money of your business touches so many other things that a lot of times it really does go hand in hand. And yeah, we'd love to help and talk to any business owners that may be interested.
Cool. And then if anybody is interested in more about Jill's office, of course, this is our website, jillsoffice.com. If you go to our website right now, we have a little pop-up that'll come up about the home service workshop in February. Home service workshop is a one show with multiple tracks inside of it so that you can save some of your, money going to different shows throughout the year. So we've got some really great tracks going on, but Jill's office is hosting MDA, which is $1 Million Academy. And that track is specifically to help train your admin staff, your GM, your office manager, your field tech. If they're doing any admin work, we've got things built out because we specialize in customer service here and we do tons of administrative tasks. It's to help them level up. So we've got an HR basics track. We have things with organizational efficiency, automations, AI, customer service and sales in general. And so if you're looking to add more value to your anybody on your administrative staff, and if you're looking to retain them, because if you tell your admin or your VA that you're going to send them on a trip to help level them up, that's like the number one way to retain an employee. Excuse me. So visit jillsoffice.com. Make sure that you go back and you visit Jeff at ClearPay Financial. Thanks so much, Jeff, for being on the show. I love talking to you, and I'd love to follow up with you later. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast, and hopefully I was able to impart some valuable information
So much.
to
I
anybody
loved
that may
it.
need it.
Cool.
So
Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time.